welcome to Business 360. I'm Archana Solanki and here are the headlines we're tracking this hour. Stock markets end a lackluster week on a tepid note. Sensex and Nifty snap a 4-week winning streak after declining 1%. Mid-caps outperform, gaining 1.5% this week. Rupee weakened sharply and bond yields spike after Bank of Japan loosened its yield curve control. Bond yields across the world are also rising after US reported better than expected 2.4% GDP growth in Q2. The union government could raise 1.5 lakh crore rupees by offloading stake in 23 public sector companies where the government holding is more than 75% mandated by SEBI. Stake sale in LIC alone can fetch more than 85,000 crore rupees. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurates the Semicon India event in Gandhinagar, pitches India as a viable chip-making hub. Top executives from Foxconn, Micron, AMD attend the event, commit to investing big bucks. Foxconn chairman Yang Liu says they are looking to invest over $2 billion in India in the next 5 years, says they have not found another partner after their proposed semiconductor joint venture with Vedanta fell through. That's an exclusive. Finance Minister Nirmala Sitharaman launched a 30,000 crore backstop fund for corporate bond market announced in the budget. The fund will be the buyer of last resort for corporate bonds in times of financial instability. SoftBank-backed Ola records a loss of $136 million for the financial year ending March 2023, sources tell Reuters. This loss is against a revenue of $335 million. This comes at a time when the e-scooter maker is looking at raising $700 million from the IPO market. The Supreme Court pulls up union government over regulating cryptocurrency, says it is unfortunate that there is no law or an expert agency to handle criminal cases. Asks the government, how can people be investigated or kept behind bars without a legal regime? The centre will soon block online gaming apps and platforms that are avoiding paying GST. Sources say that the government is planning a crackdown on gaming platforms, luring gamers with no GST, no TDS messages. That's an exclusive. Opposition sloganeering inside the parliament over Manipur issue continues. Parliamentary Affairs Minister Prahlad Joshi blames opposition for failing to cooperate in passing bills. Lok Sabha passes the Mines and Minerals Amendment Bill with a voice note. Former US President Donald Trump faces fresh charges in the classified documents case. Federal prosecutors allege that Trump ordered employees to deleting security camera footage of his Florida home in 2022. The new charges take the total charges against Trump to 40. All right, let's start with the market action. Stock markets have ended the day and the week in the red. Sensex and Nifty clocked marginal losses on Friday and lost 1% this week. With this, a winning streak that lasted for 4 weeks has come to an end. Mid-caps outperformed today and for this week. In fact, the mid-cap index has gained 1.5% this week. The Bank of Japan maintained its short-term interest rate target at minus 0.1%, but also took steps to make its yield curve control policy more flexible. The central bank has maintained guidance allowing the 10-year yield to move 0.5% around the 0% target. It also said it will offer to buy 10-year Japanese government bonds at 1.0% in fixed-rate operations. The move lifted Japan's benchmark bond yield to a 9-year high. The Bank of Japan's move impacted bond markets at home as well. Government bonds reversed their initial gains and saw a sharp fall. This largely led by the dollar, Japanese yen and high global yields. Meanwhile, the rupee strengthened against the greenback, closing at 82.25 against the dollar versus 81.93 against the dollar from Thursday's close. The Finance Ministry has launched a 30,000 crore rupee backstop fund for the corporate bond market. Lata Venkatesh joins us now to explain how these corporate bonds work and how the fund will be beneficial to the market. Lata.
This backstop or guarantee fund for the corporate debt market has been a long time coming, and it got passed in the budget, the amount sanctioned for it. Basically, it's called the CDMDF, the Corporate Debt Market Development Fund. What happened was, during Lehman and more immediately, during COVID, suddenly there are no buyers for corporate debt. Or if there is an IL&FS moment, mutual funds are holding good paper, but there is no buyers, and suddenly the NAV can really drop if, everyone comes and asks for redemption at that point in time, because corporates also need money during such, COVID kind of time. So that was when this idea was mooted that you need a buyer of the last resort for corporate bonds in times of financial instability. So this development fund is not operational all the time. Okay, how was it put together? All debt mutual funds have to put in 0.25% of their AUM into this fund. Okay, and as their fund grows, they have to keep putting more money. But the initial contribution is of 0.25. That kitty can be levered up. If you have, say, 4,000 crores or thereabouts, or 5,000 crores, you can take 5 times leverage. Now, why would a bank give leverage to this fund? Because the government has come in and said, we guarantee up to 30,000 crores of this fund. See, the government is not actually giving money. It's giving the guarantee. Now, with that kitty, the fund will be able to buy in times of financial instability. Let's hope those instabilities don't come. But on a normal basis, it will invest in treasuries, government securities, etc., and charge a small fee of 0.15 or thereabouts. That's their charge. That's one scheme that the FM launched today. It's not going to change life now, but it's important as a backstop. The other big product that the FM launched is the LPCC. That is the Limited Purpose Clearing Corp. This is a guarantor of corporate repos. When you sell a corporate bond, or when a mutual fund buys it, they don't want it to sit idle. They want to give it as a collateral and borrow money over it. So you keep making more money. Now, that product becomes a problem because nobody is guaranteeing it. Suppose it's a 15-day repo, and in between an IL&FS event happens, or, global yields just surge. Who accounts for that difference? So this fund comes in as a guarantor. Both those important products, the expectation is that with this, there will be more corporate issuances, more people will repo it, and the corporate bond market will take off. That's the hope.
In India, over the last few years, government has actually taken a lot of interest and worked together with the financial regulators. And the outstanding stock of corporate bonds has increased more than fourfold, from 10.51 lakh crores, which is a figure of 2012, to 42 lakh crores at the end of 2023.
Moving on, the government's offer for sale in Rail Vikas Nigam or RVNL closes today. By selling just over 5% stake, the government holding in the company is now below the SEBI mandated 75%. There are a total of 23 PSUs where the government holding is above the SEBI limit. Nimesha is here with more on how much government stands to gain if it dilutes its shareholding. Nimesh, over to you.
Well, as you rightly pointed out, the government has diluted or they are selling stake in RVNL via OFS to bring the stake to 75%. What I've done is I've looked at the entire PSU basket. If you look at the entire PSU basket, there are 23 companies where the government holding is more than 75%. If they choose to dilute the stake to 75%, the government can raise close to 1.5 lakh crores. That's the amount that the government can raise by diluting stake. Now, as I said, the recent example is RVNL. The OFS for retail closes today, and it's been very timely done because the fact that RVNL has actually rallied 300% in the last 1 year. So now let's look at the list of stocks. There are companies where the government holding is more than 90%. It's largely dominated by banks. The Punjab and Sindh Bank, where the government holding is quite high. IOB and UCO Bank as well. I do understand it's difficult to dilute stake in the bank stocks, but look at LIC. LIC itself can give the government 85,000 crores because the government holding is still 96%. And if they bring it to 75, that's the amount of money, 85,000 crores that they can raise from LIC alone. Now look at the second list of stocks where the government holding is more than 85%. That's a very interesting list because there are a lot of stocks which have done well in the last 1 year. Fact is one good example. The stock has rallied 350% in the last 1 year, and only by diluting to 75%, the government can raise close to 4,500 crores. The other names like IRFC, General Insurance, New India Assurance, they put together can raise close to 8 to 9,000 crores, and also they've done well. But the most important stock here in that list is Govt. That stock has rallied 600% in the last 1 year. The government holding is still 85%. There is not a single institutional investor in Govt, and if they choose to do that, the government can easily raise close to 3,700 crores by bringing the stake to 75%. So that's interesting stock. Now look at the other list of companies where the government holding is between 75 to 85%. Again, that list is dominated by the PSU banks, where there's been a huge momentum. A lot of stocks have done well. But the other interesting name is NLC India, where the government can easily raise close to 700 crores. And as I said earlier, RVNL, it's been very timely done by the government to dilute stake, because that stock has rallied, as I said, 300% in the last 1 year. So again, in RVNL, the government is going to raise close to 800 crores. But as I said, if the government chooses to dilute the stake to 75%, the unbooked profit for the government could be as high as 1.5 lakh crores. That's the amount which the government is sitting on. And the big kitty can come from LIC itself, which can contribute close to 85,000 crores.
All right. Thank you, Nimesh, for that. Prime Minister Narendra Modi inaugurated the Semicon India Summit in Gujarat's Gandhinagar today. The event is aimed at boosting India's chip design innovation. Day one of the Semicon Summit also saw major players like Micron and AMD reiterate investment commitments made during the Prime Minister's trip to the United States last month. Speaking at the inaugural event, Prime Minister Modi said that government will continue to incentivize chip makers. He added that the semiconductors or industry believes in the country's vast talent pool.
सेमिकॉन इंडिया प्रोग्राम के तहत हम जो इंसेंटिव दे रहे थे उसे बढ़ाया गया। अब टेक्नोलॉजी फर्म्स को भारत में सेमीकंडक्टर मैन्युफैक्चरिंग फैसिलिटी स्थापित करने के लिए 50% की फाइनेंशियल असिस्टेंस दी जाएगी।
Foxconn और हम लोग we both were looking to have a partnership to who can provide us the technology. And then Foxconn felt that probably they will be like to be in a downstream and somewhere else be connected with us, and which is the most welcome. And we were scouting for the partner, and the partners are coming forward. And government is also processing. I have no doubt in few months' time, as soon as the tie-up happen, we'll let you know.
Timeline कुछ है क्या?
2-3 महीने में 4 महीने में होना चाहिए.
And can you just run me through the capital allocation for this, the $20 billion? अभी आपने जो बोला था, how you are looking to fund it?
जैसे ये फर्म अप सारा हो जाएगा, once we make a feasibility, we'll come back to you. अभी इनिशियल स्टेज में तो हम लोग लैंड ले रहे हैं, feasibility बना रहे हैं, उसके बाद आगे बढ़ते जाते हैं और एक-एक स्टेज जैसे मैंने बता दिया कि फर्स्ट स्टेज अबाउट 5 बिलियन रहेगा, उसके बाद फिर आगे जैसे जैसे एक्सपेंशन होता जाएगा करते जाएंगे.
और मतलब आपने जो बोला था कि you can allocate that for within Vedanta.
Yeah, Vedanta is executing the project, no?
Semiconductor requires, the downstream to have enough volume to support upstream semiconductors. And here in India, we see the downstream is growing, significantly. So there is a need to have the upstream, like semiconductor, to be built locally. So we see that great opportunity.
Okay.
And the government is very much understanding of the industry. So they're very supportive. I just had a meeting with Prime Minister, and his understanding of the semiconductor industry makes the right policy to support the semiconductor industry. I'm very optimistic.
One question, sir. Recently, of course, you had tied up with Vedanta. That JD did not work out. After that, you said you will look for partners independently. What has been the progress on that one, sir? What has been the progress on that one? Have you been able to find a partner in India?
We have not gone out to find another partner. And we continue working closely with Vedanta, and not only the semiconductors, but also some other like items like panel, fiber-related stuff. So we still maintaining a very good relationship with them.
One last question. What will be your total investment in India, let's say, in the next 5 to 10 years as far as the semiconductor sector is concerned?
There will be definitely more than a couple of billion, in billion dollars.
We've been in India for over 20 years, and we've been growing dramatically from just a handful of people at that time to 6,500 employees today. And they work on every aspect of our product portfolio, and we are a leader in semiconductor product design across data center, server technology, supercomputers, down to gaming and PCs. And so we have a broad portfolio. But today what we announced is a $400 million investment, which will both allow us to grow our employee force over 3,000 people between now and by the end of 2028, and as well, we announced our largest R&D development center in the world will be in Bangalore.
You said in your speech that a large part of the design that work that happens here goes into everything that AMD essentially makes. So what does this new R&D center then add, and what does that mean for AMD globally?
Well, we're a growing company, and what is very important to realize is the technology sector that we serve is growing dramatically, and AI is a force behind that because artificial intelligence and machine learning is finding its way into every sector. Right. And so we need to continue to grow globally, and we will, announcing today that India will be at the center of those activities. So we'll expand our portfolio, and as well, we'll extend the portfolio, bringing AI into all of our products.
Right. And, today a lot of companies also spoke about the opportunity that India holds currently when it comes to its semiconductor opportunities. What is your sense that, how do you see India currently positioned on that front?
Well, the semiconductor industry from a design and from several different sectors has been growing here for years. Mm-hmm. But with the initiatives that Prime Minister Modi announced today, it means a very exciting future. The skill base here in India in the areas of deep technology, which is required for semiconductor, has always been strong, and with these incentives, will be growing even further.
All right, it's time for a short break. Up next, Supreme Court pulls up the union government over regulating cryptocurrencies, says it's unfortunate that there is no law or an expert agency to handle criminal cases. More when we return. Welcome back. A quick look at other headlines that we're tracking. IPO-bound Ola Electric reported an operating loss of $136 million on a revenue of $335 million in FY23. According to a Reuters report, the company's loss number has not been reported or filed with the government, which gives the company time till September to file their previous year's earnings. This comes at a time when the company is prepping for a $700 million initial public offering. In aviation news, after conducting a special audit, aviation regulator DGCA has imposed a fine of 30 lakh rupees on Indigo for deficiencies in training and engineering procedure. Indigo experienced 4 tail strike incidents on A321 aircraft within a span of 6 months. DGCA has directed Indigo to amend their documents and procedures in line with DGCA requirements and OEM guidelines. Engine maker Pratt & Whitney has declared a loss of $181 million after GoFirst filed for insolvency. In its Q2 earnings report, Pratt & Whitney said its operating profit fell by 24% year-on-year due to customer insolvency. The company hasn't named which customer, but its Indian buyer GoFirst filed for insolvency in May this year. The Supreme Court has pulled up the government over the regulation of cryptocurrencies. The apex court has said that it is unfortunate that there is no law or an expert agency in place to handle criminal cases related to digital currencies yet. Abhimanyu Sharma joins us with the details. Abhimanyu, some tough words coming in from the top court.
The Supreme Court has asked the centre to clarify if at all it wants to set up a separate uniform agency to deal with digital and cryptocurrency fraud. The court was hearing a case filed by an accused who had not only sought bail but had also sought to club several cases of cryptocurrency and digital fraud which were filed against him in several states. The court asked the centre whether there is a need for a uniform law. The court said that cryptocurrency fraud is extremely grievous as a crime and hence it requires a specific degree of expertise to investigate it. The court said that the quality of investigation will suffer if at all the investigation officer is originally a constable and has been promoted to a different rank to investigate the case. The court said that cryptocurrency is as grievous as Hawala transactions and hence it requires a big degree of seriousness on the part of the union government to ensure that investigations properly happen and there is uniformity in probes across the country.
And that's a wrap on this edition of Business 360. Thank you for watching. Stay tuned to CNBC-TV18 News continues on the other side.